I mean, NBC, my goodness. I got to say, in complete fairness, I thought the production value was decent. I thought it was a pretty well put together broadcast in terms of the on-air presentation until we got word that it was going to be a timed race. And Matthew, you brought this up as well in a tweet. I remember that. We know that it's a timed race now. Why do we still have lap X of 75 up in the top left, and we show this clock on screen for about 8 to 10 seconds, saying, "Oh, this is how much time we have until whatever it was, 9:20 on the East Coast. That we're going to run out of daylight, and then they're going to throw the white flag, or it's going to be 2 to go." I don't know. I was confused about that. I still don't know, but we got a 100% crystal clear answer when it comes to what NASCAR was doing in that situation. But I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, Matthew, I know you'll appreciate this. It's a game show reference. The Weakest Link reboot, they didn't even have the clock on screen for the entire round there. So I guess NBC just has something against, letting us know how much time we have left for some reason. But I mean, how hard is that? I'm not in a production booth. I don't know what goes into changing those graphics over, but I imagine it can't be that difficult to change a lap counter to a timer that counts down so that we constantly know in the year 2024, I would think we would have that capability here. So again,
they do it for IMSA. The same network does it for IMSA.
It's the same deal for IMSA. And the second knot that goes with this is for all my friends on Twitter /X/social media. If that had been a Fox broadcast and Fox had done that, I guarantee you the entire timeline would have been, and justifiably so, by the way. I mean, I'll criticize Fox as much as anybody. I think they have a lot of shortcomings that they need to improve. But as soon as NBC takes over, I feel like there are things that they could do much better that we just hear crickets about because apparently everybody's so Fox fatigued that NBC can do no wrong. It just drives me insane. But, and again, I'm not sitting up here on my soapbox saying, NBC's just as bad as Fox or they're terrible or anything. Matthew, I know you brought this up as well. I think, again, probably an unpopular opinion, but the fact that Dale Jr. is taking a year off, they put Dylan Welch in that spot instead. And again, that's not even again, I'll criticize Dale in the booth as much as anybody, but even if I thought Dale were a pretty good driver analyst in terms of being a color guy, it makes zero sense to put him in a radio style play-by-play position on the broadcast. So putting Dylan Welch there, I think certainly a massive step up. So I'm glad NBC went ahead and did that. I still think the radio style deal is a little bit pointless when you're still throwing it to Letarte and Allen up in the booth for half the laps anyway, and you never know what's going on. But hey, that's just me.
Yeah, that was Dylan Welch coming on to the radio style broadcast because everything sounded so much clearer and cleaner. Next step would be to get Jeff Burton to the booth, but then you would have 3-person in the booth for a radio style broadcast. That doesn't work. Give him the week off, or put him on pit road with Kim like they did for the Indy 500. I don't care, but bring another radio guy in for Jeff. Kurt Becker, Dan Hubbard, PRN person. Who cares who? Just
probably have to be an MRN person because they got Bagley, but
that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, I couldn't imagine why we were getting the clock and then we weren't getting the clock, and then it's like, what are we doing? And I noticed the same thing that you said. We're still counting laps. Doesn't matter what lap it is. Now, granted, I will level it out. NBC did a terrific job again with all the drone shots and the aerial shots and just the scenery.
Yeah.
You can see why a street course race is wanted. Because just all of the scenery looked amazing. I am officially on the bandwagon of once we go to Chicago again next year, because it sounds like we will, maybe not on July 4th weekend, but once we get through that 3-year period, I want this thing in Denver. Could you imagine the scenes in Denver for a street race? But you can see why a network wants it and why NASCAR wants it, because the production value, again, was great with that. But see, I can say positive things about NBC. I'll say a lot when Lee Diffie comes in, which he tweeted about earlier today.
Yeah.
Which I liked.
Yeah, very low tech. I saw, I think Junior actually tweeted about it. He says the NASCAR and NBC production crew kicks so much fill in the blank here. I don't know how PG rated we want to make the show here, but such great shots today at Chicago. And then fan very low tech here. I'm just going to show my phone, but I think this is probably the image that you were referring to there. Just the city in the background. You can see the street cars and buses with the headlights and the traffic lights, and you've got a NASCAR Cup Series car coming right at you at however many miles an hour those things are going at that point in the track. That's fantastic. And I'll give NBC credit there. The camera shots were certainly on point. It's something that we frequently criticize Fox over. But again, I'm of the mindset that both networks have their pluses, both networks have their minuses. I just don't understand why everybody is so quick to pile on Fox, but everybody's so hesitant to pile on NBC, because I think it's important to hold the networks accountable and hold them in check here. And I don't understand why it's so hard to have a clock on the screen for the entire time during a timed race, and NBC couldn't give us that. So I'm sorry. I think they deserve to be called out on it, but what do I know?